Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for the first 6 things we learnt of the season, but I'm ever so slightly unprepared for this one. We don't have the graphics made, but we do of course have the graphics for individual players. We're going to be talking about Chelsea 6, Peterborough 1. 6 things we learn is back. It's been a long wait for an official 6 things we learnt video from a game. Unfortunately, I don't have any secret footage from this behind closed doors friendly to show you, but Chelsea won 6-1. It's one of those again where there's now 13 goals somewhere in the stratosphere that we don't know about. 7 last season against QPR, 6 against Peterborough in a behind closed doors friendly. But there was enough talking points from the minute information that we received, which has given me the green light in my head to go ahead and make the first 6 things we learnt video of Chelsea's pre-season. We got Bournemouth on the 27th, and I believe that Bournemouth are going to be streaming that one at least. So even if Chelsea don't, we can pretend that we're Bournemouth fans on their app or their website or whatever for a few hours. And then we really do start getting into the 6 things we learnt from pre-season videos. But if you are not yet subscribed to GBFC, we are creeping up on 200,000 subscribers. And if you can hit the like button on this first 6 things we learn of the pre-season, then I will be a very happy man. There's really only one place to begin with this. I'm going to put a little bit of text up from various different sources on the internet because there is very little information about this match. However, one thing we do know, and it is the blue box. If there was a blue box to be had, Hakim Ziyech scored a second half hat-trick for Chelsea against Peterborough, which in pre-season, if we're looking at it from the side of Thomas Tuchel and the angle of the headspace of Thomas Tuchel, Hakim Ziyech is one of the players who during this pre-season, there is a bit of uncertainty about him. There's links and rumours that he could be open to a move away from Chelsea after just 1 season because of the lack of game time that he got last season. There's also the question about whether or not he's a good fit in Thomas Tuchel's system. Where is his best position to play in this team? Is he going to be guaranteed minutes? And all of those questions become ever so slightly more difficult for Thomas Tuchel to answer when he's scoring second half hat-tricks in the first friendly of the season. I know I said in yesterday's video that a behind closed doors friendly in the middle of July against Peterborough is probably not the best gauge that we'll receive as Chelsea fans for information as to what our team's going to look like next season. But Hakim Ziyech, we know that he can be a wonderful player. And for him to score a hat-trick straight off the bat of winning the Champions League, every small incremental piece of information we get about Hakim Ziyech being in goal-scoring form is only a good omen for Chelsea moving forward. Hakim Ziyech scores a second half hat-trick. Chelsea run riot. The champions of Europe destroy the Posh by 6 goals to 1. We move into box number 2, and it's an interesting one because both Edouard Mendy and Kepa Arrizabalaga have both been in training this week for Chelsea, which means they would have been available for selection. If they're in training, the chances are, if they're doing all of their drills normally, chances are they're fit and ready to play. However, I see the fact that both Jamie Cumming and Bergstrom played in goal for Chelsea yesterday. Jamie Cumming played the first half an hour, kept himself a clean sheet. Bergstrom came on, and I see this as one of those where at this moment in time, with Willy Caballero leaving Chelsea, rumours always circulating here and there about Chelsea trying to find a perfect suitor for Kepa. We were linked with Wayne Hennessy from Crystal Palace, who ended up going to Burnley a week ago. Chelsea are looking at backups, and I actually think it was a smart move of Thomas Tuchel to not feature either Mendy or Kepa in this behind closed doors friendly, because it gave him an opportunity to see the youthful goalkeepers that Chelsea have at the club. Are any of them at a level in terms of like making the saves that they need to make? Obviously we did concede 1 goal, but can they make the right saves? Do they have a presence in the team? Are the defenders in front of them actually listening to them, despite very rarely playing with one another in anything other than a training match? So I think it's smart for Thomas Tuchel. If Chelsea are looking at 1 or 2 goalkeepers potentially this summer, depending on whether Kepa leaves, it's a smart move in the first behind closed doors friendly of pre-season to take a look at what is already at the club. So some people might be a bit surprised that neither of our first team goalkeepers featured, but I actually think it is a very, very smart move. We move into box number 3, and it is a goal for one of the men that we mentioned in yesterday's video. It was 5 players to watch during pre-season. If you haven't yet seen it, it was basically like a preview for this Peterborough game, but in less of a preview format and more of I picked 5 players that we wanted to see perform this pre-season to be in with a chance of being in the squad next season, and Armando Broja got himself on the score sheet. Again, I want to always bring it back to the fact that it is Peterborough, it's a behind closed doors friendly, and you've got to remember that whether Chelsea are a better team than Peterborough or not, it's their pre-season as well. So even though we might not be at our absolute sharpest, neither are they going to be at their absolute sharpest. So the scoreline is kind of irrelevant in a sense, but the fact it's 6-1 means, you know, as a Chelsea fan, we can sit here and revel in that minute glory that we have at this very moment in time. Broja gets himself on the score sheet, and I think it's the only thing he can do during this pre-season is keep scoring goals. We saw him score goals last season at Vitesse, and he is a decent player. He's already playing for the Albanian national team, so they obviously rate him highly as well as a prospect for their future as a nation, and he gets himself a goal in his first game, which can only bode well for his chances moving forward. I think the more pre-season goes on, the more we see Armando Broja in the side, the more it might be a little likely that Thomas Tuchel could have him as part of the plans. Let me know in the comments down below if you think that goal could be a very useful one for him personally. We move into box number 4, and it's Christian Pulisic. Christian Pulisic gets himself a goal. And I think for Pulisic, when I bring it back to my tier list video, I said Pulisic had a big season. But I think compared to the impact that he had upon the return of football after the Corona break, I do think we saw less of that Christian Pulisic last season, but still, I think this year, the fact that for the entire of last season, we were playing having never had a pre-season. I think Christian Pulisic getting as many minutes as possible, whether it's Peterborough and behind closed doors, Bournemouth next week in the Championship, the games that we play in Ireland, Super Cup football as well, which of course, we want to win the Super Cup, we want that trophy in our cabinet. Christian Pulisic, if he can get into serious match fitness before the season begins, it's going to be a huge start to the campaign for Christian Pulisic. I think he's got a huge role to play in this Thomas Tuchel team. And if we think about the formations that Chelsea supposedly used in this game, the talk is we lined up with a 3-4-3. We then, second half, went to a bit of a 4-3-3. There is a lot of uncertainty about this, of course, so I don't want to sit here pretending I know information that I really don't know. But Christian Pulisic scored a goal. He's out there getting minutes again, which I think, again, if you can keep building that fitness, get as many minutes in as possible before that game at the beginning of the season against Crystal Palace, then I think Chelsea could well be in for an exciting beginning to the season. Pulisic gets himself a goal. Box number 5 is Tammy Abraham, also getting himself a goal. Tammy is an interesting one because we know, I think as Chelsea fans, that if Tammy Abraham moves to another Premier League club where he's guaranteed to start, let's say, 25 to 30 Premier League games a season at a minimum, I think pretty much everyone can universally agree that Tammy Abraham's going to score goals in whatever team he goes to, whether it's West Ham, Aston Villa. Even if he was to go to a Newcastle, he'd score goals. If he goes to Arsenal, he's going to score goals. And I think he's a better striker than Lacazette is. That's an interesting one to talk about. But Tammy Abraham gets himself a goal. I'm still unsure about Tammy. As a Chelsea fan, I'd love to see him stay at the club. I think he really does represent the club very well. I just think by now, he would have signed a new deal if he intended to stay at Chelsea. I think it's... Some people could question the mentality, saying like, well, he doesn't back himself enough, so he's not signing a new deal in fear that Chelsea go out and buy a Lukaku, a Haaland, or whatever it may be. Some people come out with that kind of idea, but I also think Tammy is a smart striker and he knows that he's got very high goal-scoring potential in the Premier League. He's already proven himself. It's just whether or not he can get enough to satisfy us at Chelsea. And we've got some pretty high demands at this football club. We've got a European title to keep hold of. We've got a Premier League crown that we want to get back into the West London trophy cabinet for another year. So Tammy scoring is good news. You know, when you play these friendlies, all you can ask is your strikers to start bagging the goals. Armando Broja gets one, Tammy Abraham gets one, and we move into box number 6. And as much as I've sat here with a bit of excitement, talking about Chelsea scoring 6 goals and the 6 things we learned, I just want to quietly, calmly remind everybody that it is a behind closed doors friendly. We managed to see 22 players out on the pitch, which is pretty much a different team in each half. Conor Gallagher got minutes in the second half as well, I believe. Ruben got minutes as well. Malang Sarr got minutes. There's pictures of Thomas Tuchel talking to Malang Sarr. And all of these little things we could overanalyze, we can completely ignore it, underanalyze. At this moment in time, it doesn't really matter. But I'll be completely honest, I just wanted to get a 6 things we learn out for you guys because I've missed it. It's been a long time, 6 weeks of no 6 things. It's 6 weeks too long. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video today. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit the like button. And as I said at the beginning, we're creeping up on 200k. Subscribe if you are new. Season 3 of GBFC is going to be getting underway next week with new graphics, new branding, and everything else that I've already spoken about this week. Thank you guys. See you all later. Come on, you Blues.